quality podcast. Before I get into it, I'm going to just kind of ramble about the movie Prisoners with Hugh Jackman and Jake Gyllenhaal. A, because it's one of my favorite movies. B, because I'm tired and I need to find a way to stay awake and stimulated. But yeah, first off, to explain why I'm doing the road trip I'm doing. It's weird because you don't see parents, especially when you move, life happens. It's weird what you take for granted, and it's weird. Parents sacrifice for children, and since I don't have kids, I can't understand what that's like. And I know when it gets to a point for parents where obviously they don't ask for college money back. It's amazing what parents do, especially mine. And it's an interesting flip as they age and I age. What parents, all they want is time. They want to see you, which is so minuscule yet so meaningful, yet in this world we live in now, so difficult. So thus the last minute road trip with my dog Izzy and I, just cramming it in and driving there. It's supposed to be a 6-hour drive. It turned into 9 because it's New Year's and I had to go through Vegas, so that was absurd. But anyway, getting to the movie Prisoners. I was just listening to Kevin Smith and Jason Mewes. They have a podcast called Jay and Silent Bob Get Old, and they reviewed Guardians of the Galaxy. And it made me, just for some reason, made me think of a movie I just rewatched the other day, Prisoners with Hugh Jackman, Jake Gyllenhaal, Terrence. I can't remember, Terrence Howard, but mostly Hugh Jackman and Jake Gyllenhaal. It's all this is a spoiler. It's a movie about a father, Terrence Stamp. I can't remember the black dude from the first Iron Man before the other guy took the role, from the original Iron Man. Those two fathers, their daughters go out playing and end up disappearing, and the way they shoot it, they feed us, the audience. We know as much as the main characters know, so it's not like we're in on who the bad guy is. So there's a lot of circumstantial occurrences that lead the parents to think it's this one kind of creepy, mentally childish adult character. And I forget the actor that plays him, but he was really good in this. It leads them to believe he's the kidnapper. There's a very messed up sexual assault undertone to that. And Hugh Jackman, people give me crap, but I have a genuine appreciation of his acting abilities. I mean, who can play Wolverine, do some Broadway crap, dance, sing, come back to Wolverine? I mean, he's played Wolverine for like 17 years. And then you see movies like this and The Prestige, where he does stuff, that's equally as dramatic. And I think, honestly, this is his best performance. God, I forgot who the director is, too. But this was an astounding performance on his part. He plays a weak character. He's just a father trying to make ends meet. His daughter is missing. And Jackman really brings a lot to it. It's really impressive. You see, it's interesting. You start to, I don't know if it's just the simple way they had him have a goatee. You've never seen Hugh Jackman with a goatee. You've seen it with Wolverine, chops are clean shaven. And the goatee, and I forgot who his wife is in this movie. She's amazing too. But it takes you a hot minute to kind of get into it, and you kind of just deal with it, and you realize you just follow this weak father character on his journey trying to find his daughter. And then the Gyllenhaal plays the detective that's on the case, and so there's Gyllenhaal that wants to find the bad guy and believes the same stuff that Jackman's seen to be true. Like, he's led to believe it's the same person that did the kidnapping, but he knows as a cop he can't just jump to conclusions. He needs hard evidence. He finds, there's some twists and turns. But there's something interesting Gyllenhaal does is, I don't know the age difference, but the way they made the movie is he definitely is a younger guy than Jackman in real life and as the characters. steps up and brings it to this guy, but it's also not this arrogance. It's really impressive when Jackman really lays it into Gyllenhaal about, find my daughter, why aren't you doing anything? Gyllenhaal is an equally strong force to be reckoned with, but it isn't this indignant, youthful thing. It's pretty impressive. Gyllenhaal, I think, is a very unappreciated actor. He's really good at what he does. I went down the YouTube rabbit hole that night, and I don't know if he's a method actor per se, but he really gets into his characters, not in a messed up way like, oh, I can't recover for 20 years. I call them light switch actors. He can flip that switch, do his thing, flip it off, go home and be normal. I think like Robin Williams, unfortunately I think his demons did get the best of him, but if you've seen any of his movies, like 1 Hour Photo, if you see any of the B-roll or like the behind the scenes footage, he's joking around, they go, okay, get ready, action, and then he's instantly a sociopath. And it's amazing to see him do that, this light switch thing. He doesn't have to get all Daniel Day-Lewis and be messed up for a year after shooting, to each their own. Gyllenhaal does this thing in there where I remember the first time I saw Prisoners, he has this eye twitch. Like, it's subtle, where you just go, oh, Gyllenhaal just blinks a lot. But then you realize it has a reason, and I don't know, I can't say if Gyllenhaal planned it. I mean, I know he did it for the character, but I don't know if he associated it with stresses in the character or if he associated it with tension or what, but there was a very subtle nuance that I hate this phrase, but it humanized him. It made him, you kind of didn't look at Gyllenhaal, and I mean, he's a good looking dude, he's a pretty boy actor, and it's really hard to get past that, so I don't know, I don't think it's a gimmick, but for him to find these little nuances, it helps us focus on the character, not the actor. And he does this, and he also has, he has this kind of, the movie's based in like a small kind of maybe like Jersey town, I can't remember, somewhere in the northeast, but he has like this edge to him that leads you to believe he was like in some like drug gang division in some big city, because he has kind of a big city haircut. He doesn't blend in with the local folk. He wears his buttons. He doesn't wear a tie, but he buttons his shirt all the way to the top, which has kind of this like this prisoner look to it, And he, what was the other thing? Oh, and he has like, you can see a neck tattoo kind of just poking out of the collar of his shirt, so it just kind of makes you assume he was part of like a gang investigation unit or something shady that really took its toll, that brought him to this smaller town. And he really brings it. It's really cool. Like, he stays, his character's pretty intense the whole time. You see he's always at an 8 or a 9, but they're different genres, if you will, of 8 and 9. Like, it's an intense 8 or a contemplative at 9. He's not he's one level as far as intensity, but he's multi-tiered as far as his the application of that intensity. So it's really cool. He doesn't show a lot of weakness, but you see him as a human dealing with this grief-stricken father's plight, trying to find this daughter. And the whole undertone is that we all know from real modern world, when kids are kidnapped, you have like a really short amount of time to find them, or they're gone forever. And Jackman's character knows this, so he's desperate. And here's the big spoilers: he captures the guy who he firmly believes did it, and kind of questions him a little bit, and then ends up interrogating him, and then ends up beating the living shit out of this guy. He's so certain that it's this guy kidnapped, molested, and potentially killed his daughter, that he's willing to do horrible things that he knows is wrong, but he finds a way to justify it because there's an innocent girl at stake. So he does things that, like, it's, like if you saw Wolverine do these things, you'd be like, oh, that makes sense, it's Wolverine. But Jackman paints, and the director and the writer build up this desperate father that makes you realize that this guy this isn't in his DNA to just beat, like there's a scene where he beats him with a hammer, breaks his fingers, Jackman just brings it. And the director and the writer and Jackman, they shit, if I was in that situation, what would be that light switch for me to justify these actions? And then it goes even further, where Jackman realizes this isn't working, and he builds a little torture chamber in a shower that goes scalding hot or freezing cold water only. So it literally burns him, and then the makeup effects they do, and the way they shoot the lighting on the character that he's torturing with boiling hot water. I mean, you see this and you just go, you can see what it smells like. And so, I don't know, here, my note, acting wise, for anybody that's a wannabe actor or current actor, this is a movie to watch because they're really intense, believable performances and for me, I look at actors like them because, for example, Tom Cruise, he's Tom Cruise in everything. He's so big, he's too big for himself. I think the last character I personally saw him get lost in, or that I lost him in, was Magnolia. So Magnolia? Yeah, where he's like this, he's kind of like he's like the perverse version of Tony Robbins. Like he's a sleazeball, but you see this scene where he breaks down over his dying father. That was the only time I've ever seen something where I was like, that's not Tom Cruise, that's the character. And it's not his fault per se as far as his acting. I think when he gets into it, he's a good actor. He does a lot of the same roles, and that's awesome. I'd kill to have all his roles. But it might be the roles, it might be the scripts, but I think personally it's to the point where it's Tom Cruise. You can't, and I guess when he was in Tropic Thunder, that was funny when they put on the fat suit and he looked like a creepy producer. That was awesome. He got lost in that comically, of course. But yeah, it's hard to lose Tom Cruise in any character, and so people that are that big, Gyllenhaal and Jackman, are just on that radar, but they do so well with the roles they choose. And this script and the director in this movie, Prisoners, provided them a way to undermine their actor names and actually be the characters. So acting-wise, it's a good movie to watch because for people that the disclaimer here is I don't want to come across cocky, but if anybody that's in the acting industry or the entertainment industry, this is just a weird, superficial, I'll say maybe fact. Big dude with blue eyes that's decent looking with muscles, they're going to assume you can't act, or they can't see you acting weak or dramatic. It's just the nature of the beast. Judging a book by its cover, that's what Hollywood runs on. And you can't fault anybody for that. It is what it is. So for people like Jackman and Gyllenhaal to, rise above that, I think it's a really good exercise for actors to watch because you see that weakness. I mean, you could watch Jackman in Wolverine, any Wolverine movie, and then see him and then watch Prisoners next, and you'll swallow it. You'll buy it. I don't know his methodology or his acting training, but I don't think Jackman has kids, to be honest with you. I should know that. But you buy him as a father, as a weak father who's short on money, who works as a carpenter. You buy it. You see past it. It takes you a minute to get lost in the movie, but you see past it. Same with Gyllenhaal. I think Gyllenhaal's good because he doesn't normally do a lot of huge, big budget Hollywood movies. Most of his movies are very well picked. I don't know if they're not going to be, they're not indies, but they're not mainstream, but they're not, I don't know what you'd call them, because I just forgot Southpaw, that boxing movie. Basically Rocky. I mean, huge boxer that comes crashing down, has to start from scratch and build his way up again. But you deal with it, you swallow it, and it wasn't a mainstream movie per se. And he was even in that movie with Ryan Reynolds in outer space. And ironically, spoiler, he dies like 5 seconds in, and he plays like the ship's like maintenance guy, and you buy it. But he's one of those actors that you can get lost in. Like if you haven't seen Nightcrawler, watch that. The dude is really good, and I think it's always cool to have this really demeans what I'm about to say, but it's cool to have a gimmick. And by gimmick, I mean like a thing thing, like I think if you've seen 12 Monkeys with Brad Pitt has like this crossed eye, and he has this twitch and a very unique physicality. But if you look closely, he does this thing with his fingers that doesn't just, you don't even see it unless I've now told you, where it's a physical twitch that connects him to the character somehow. And Gyllenhaal does that with a lot of his characters. And in Prisoners, like I said, it's the eye twitch. I think, don't quote me on this, I think he asked for the neck tattoo, and that was really cool. You know, I really strongly feel he had a backstory that created this character, because he does not fit in with this city. You can tell he's not a local, but that's where he now lives and works, and he finds those twitches like in Nightcrawler. I want to say I read somewhere where they shot it where maybe they did it with CGI after the fact. I don't know. Nowadays they can do anything, but it's such. I think every take with him is because he stays awake all night, so he's jacked up on caffeine and everything. They don't show him ever blinking, if I remember hearing or reading it right. And so Gyllenhaal has these little nuances where, I don't know. I mean, movies are, you know, it's hard to find something unique anymore, and he finds a way to pick unique projects, and then he also finds a way to make unique characters. And, you know, it's not. I fail to believe in the script it said, whatever the character's name, he blinks a lot. You know, I bet that was Gyllenhaal's call, or designed with the writer director during a conversation. But I fail to believe that was in the script. Just a second, Izzy's whining. She's having a nightmare in the back seat, which makes me happy because it means she's sleeping. This truck is really loud. Izzy's the best travel dog. I've traveled all over this country with her. She's awesome. But yeah, so any actors, watch that movie, because it really, you know, don't come up with a gimmick for the sake of a gimmick, because that's a waste. Sometimes you have to, and you have to kind of force it, and it'll kind of like, I would imagine, like what it's like to be a stand-up comedian, maybe. Like, you'll have a concept, and you'll definitely be pretty rough to start with, and it'll evolve or devolve in such a manner that it plugs in during rehearsals or during your character and actor homework. But yeah, don't just do it for the sake of it, because then that's annoying. Then the audience will just be staring at that thing, and they'll hate your performance. But yeah, and then like I said, I don't know, I really can't pinpoint what Jackman did. Is he just brought a performance that made you believe he's a weak father, and it was pretty awesome. It was very believable, very swallowable. But for these two, you know, type A stud actors to play these characters that I wouldn't put them in, it's to both of their credits. It's very, very, very well done. So actors, watch it, learn from it, take note from it, and that is my rambling on the movie Prisoners with Hugh Jackman and Jake Gyllenhaal. Watch it, comment, rate and review on iTunes, and if you have any suggestions or anything for future podcasts, I literally do everything. This is my podcast is called A Day in the Life of, and anything goes, basically. That's why I named it that, so I didn't have to box myself in. You can email me. This sounds pompous, but it's easier to track my emails this way. Email me fans@jeffbosley.com and shoot me an email with ideas, and I'll talk about it. I'll get guests on. That's always fun too. It's a little bit more dynamic and entertaining. So rate and review on iTunes, A Day in the Life of, and then email me fans@jeffbosley.com. Thanks for listening. I'm going to continue driving into Utah.